To a T had a bit of a perfect formula going for it before its launch. It's the first major game from Uvula, the development studio founded by Keita Takahashi and his wife Asuka Sakai. Keita is widely credited as being the man behind the Katamari franchise, and Asuka did sound not only for Katamari Damacy, but also Ridge Racer and Ace Combat 3 Electrosphere. Almost all of Keita's previous work was made with Namco or other teams, and if you want to play anything Uvula has made before now, you either have to buy a larger bundle on itch.io with a handful of smaller games in it, buy a Playdate for Crankin's time travel adventure, or go back in time to 2013/2014 to catch the handful of times that Tenya Wanya Teens was played as part of a tour of the game. Even then, those last two were made in collaboration with other teams. This is all to say that To a T, or any game from Uvula, has been a long time coming. Fans have been hungry, and in return, Uvula has given a tale that goes down incredibly easy, even if a few small bits got caught in my throat. Here's what happened when I played To a T, and why I kinda can't wait to see what Uvula is up to next. But first, I somehow hit 1,000 subscribers recently, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. I plan on putting even more time into this channel to make sure it's as high quality and authentic a reflection of my thoughts and feelings as it can be. If you want to support that goal, then subscribing would really help me out. Thank you. With the sales pitch out of the way, let's get to one more, but this time for the game itself. To a T is aptly named, as you play a young child who is permanently shaped in a T-pose. Getting to their 13th birthday with the help of their dog, who helps them change, assists them in going to the toilet, and a whole host of other activities, they dream of a great storm harming their home until they find themselves back in the relative mundanity of their bed. This is complete with a theme tune about the game that plays multiple times throughout To a T. And this is very intentional. The framing of the game and its looks and humour feel reminiscent of a Saturday morning cartoon. The theme song punctuates narrative arcs and takes on a different form as you play. In the same sense, there's a closing theme sung by Rebecca Sugar of Steven Universe and Adventure Time fame. This is a very fitting choice for a number of reasons, just one of which being their soft-spoken, pretty vocals accompanied by a choir and horns make for a very relaxed stoppage in the story. The gameplay hook is that all these little activities you do day to day, like washing your face and brushing your teeth, become a much more active process of leveraging our character's arms to the right position, sometimes with the help of our dog. It's not nearly as involved and messy as the likes of Quap or Octodad, but it feels like it springs from a similarly tactile school of thought. And it being your 13th birthday is such a sweet and succinct way to explain the tutorial process. You start off with all these manual decisions, but eventually your mother says, well, they're your responsibility now. If you forget to wash your face, you will just have to deal with having sleep around your eyes in cutscenes, and you being a child are fittingly kind of messy. It's a very unifying concept between the character you play and the bullies who make fun of you for your T-shaped arms. You're all just kind of gross kids. There's a great sense of comedy to the mechanics of the game. Rather than giving you a single button prompt, you can press and unpress them in the middle of most actions, which means I repeatedly got a laugh out of rinsing my mouth while looking directly at the dog or never quite grabbing items I was going for. The game moves quickly from these manual movements to teaching you to spin for traversal or use your unique shape to your advantage, and this touches on kind of the whole point of the game. The theme song shouts "You are the perfect shape" at our character as they stumble through, exploring their worries out loud. The world tries to be accommodating of our characters with special spoons and taps wired up by their mum, but the bullies and trials of everyday life prove to be a challenge that the theme song doesn't really acknowledge. There's likely room to analyse To a T through the lens of disability and the oddly eugenicist adjacent language that some use to comfort those with disabilities, but I also think going too deep into that may not fit what I'm going for in this video. However, I will delve a little bit to enunciate a critique I have for the game. To a T goes a long way to explain how different bodies can come with different advantages, and our main character finds a place that works for them specifically. However, there's this fantastical approach to explaining why they are the way they are, and this ends up in the narrative feeling stronger, but the theming feeling weaker. It's a game fundamentally about self-acceptance, but our character's ability to accept themselves comes from something that can never quite map onto reality. You could make the argument that this explanation is actually its own trial and one our character succeeds at, but I find that a tad unconvincing. As well as this, you get given the opportunity to explore the entire little city after a short while with the game, and this means you are given access to side activities and the ability to earn coins, which can be spent on new clothes to wear around the city. However, the camera fights our character a lot for screen real estate, which actually makes exploring some areas tedious, especially when combined with the game's unique traversal system. If the thing holding our character back was their own arms, I could see how this justification could be made, but right now it feels like an inconvenience without a purpose. This makes the game feel a tad more linear than you might expect from its size. A few more mini-games and a tighter focus on where exactly its cameras may be placed could make the city feel much more lively and weird. Of course, there's an argument to be made that a strict camera plays into the awkwardness of having our players' arms, and I'd argue plenty of games with quote unquote bad cameras instead have unique cameras, but I wouldn't argue that here. I don't think 2 a T has an out and out bad camera, but it does have an awkward one and one that disincentivizes exploring a world I'd rather like to. However, with these problems out of the way, I don't really have anything else negative to say about the 5 or so hours I spent exploring 2 a T. The art style, falling somewhere between Doraemon and Two Point series, is that right kind of jovial to drive home its physical comedy. The soundtrack verges into lovely, but manages to spread over quite a few genres in its playtime, and the leitmotif present in the theme tune works well when sprinkled into those moments you are doing something particularly special or brave. The game is really silly, not only in its core premise, but also the things it makes you do and the characters you find. That silliness, however, feels wholly consistent. The way the story progresses can be surprising in absurd ways, but it doesn't feel random. It's not just a collection of weirdness to psych you out, there's heart here. The cereal our character eats is a good expression of this. King Pig cereal has a different flavour every morning, which ties into the picture of them on the back of the box. He is effectively a representation of our main character to some extent, and paying attention to that box will give you little nuggets of information or just feelings they will eventually tackle. It's a neat way of making the world feel more cohesive in its wackier moments. It knows when to let a joke die too. You go to the toilet at the start and you can spam buttons to make more noise, but you are never asked to do that again. You can choose to eat your cereal to get clues about your day and brush your teeth, but you can quickly start to skip that should you just want to continue with the story quickly. You pick up food from a giraffe chef every day for lunch, but it feels like that's only the case because the narrative needs to send you in that direction for a reason. 2 a T is a game that could have easily been double its length, and I think it would have suffered greatly for it. This is a game you can finish in a night should you choose to, and I think that's intentional. 2 a T is quite varied in its approach to its world. It makes you play more than just the main character sometimes, and being set in a world with both humanoid animals and, well, humanoid humans means it can make you kind of do whatever it wants you to. This all gives 2 a T creative freedom to get weird, and more importantly, it does. I think one of my favourite points of the stranger parts of 2 a T is that it never treats them as that strange. It may have someone a bit surprised or more so curious, but it never pans to someone saying, well, that's weird. It's about as weird as humans can get when they let themselves. There are some moments near the end of the game that I won't spoil here that gave me genuine glee. It has so many bits where I wanted to show off screenshots or clips just to share a feeling I have looking at it. 2 a T is almost nothing like the Katamari series, but it's clear how strong Keita Takahashi and Co.'s humour is. There's a subtle enjoyment in the childish, something that feels perfectly expressed through the eyes, or should I say T-shaped arms, of a 13-year-old child. This is kind of a hard video to do in a lot of ways. One, with the game being relatively short and so many of its best moments just being sections you have to experience to get, I didn't want to spoil too much. In fact, even talking about the ARM-based traversal made me feel like I was spoiling something, but it falls into the grander problems I have with some of the camera, so I justified it. Another reason is that there are only so many times I can express joy before I'm repeating myself. I think the greatest praise I can give to a T is that it reminds me of one of my favourite games of last year, Thank Goodness You're Here, where the former is an expression of humanity through the lens of a northern English town with all the strange and unusual habits that come with that. The latter is an expression of the humanity of a niche town in a cartoon, and it feels just as sweet and parable-like as you might expect. It's something to dig into with a fresh set of pajamas and 2 mouthfuls into a bowl of cereal. Just don't fill that mouth up too much, or they'll come spitting back out in a chuckle just a few minutes later. Thank you for watching my video on 2 a T. I wanted to keep this one short and sweet to match my time with the game. There are these critiques I have, But honestly, when you play the game, they don't matter that much. They're just what sticks with me after I'm done. It's a very joyous couple of hours, and I think there's a good chance if you know who the people are behind this and you're looking forward to it, it's going to do exactly what you want it to. It's weird and gross and fun and also not weird in a lot of ways. It feels quite human. Its soundtrack plays into everything really well. Either way, I'm not going to talk more about the thing I was just talking about. Thank you so much for watching. I hit 1,000 subscribers on my birthday and I'm already at 1,100, which is just incredible. I can't believe it. This has been the best month I've ever had on the channel, which is a phenomenal feeling, and it really makes me want to continue doing this. It makes me want to pick out the big projects and really plan stuff ahead. I think I will do that. I have a pitch dock full, I just hit the table, full of hundreds of ideas, and I'm going to properly start to realize them, I think. But also, I'm going to do the shorter stuff too. I don't want to not do anything for a while because I'm thinking about something else. I'm just going to do what makes sense to me. And somehow that's connecting with people, which is an incredible feeling. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting if you're doing that. And just thank you.